In 2.7, it's very similar to 2.6, all right? But now we're graphing a line in standard form as opposed to in 2.6, we graphed a line in slope-intercept form. So remember that standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are all integers, right? So remember, integers are going to be numbers, right? So a is a number, b is a number, and c is also a number. Kind of like you can see here, 4, -3, and +12 are all numbers, right? So a would be 4, b would be -3, and c would be 12 in this problem. We have two main methods of graphing equations that are in standard form. The first one is simply to just change it into slope-intercept form. That's method 1 in the red. And then the second method is to use the x and y intercepts. And if you find the x and the y intercepts, then you can just connect those 2 points. Now, it should be the same either way, but we're going to try both just to show you that you should get the same answer. On a quiz or a test, you would not be expected to show it both ways. I would either tell you which method I want you to use, or you'd be free to use whichever method you find easiest. So method 1, we're going to change this to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, 4x minus 3y equals 12. And I'm going to try to isolate the letter y. So I'm going to first move this 4x over to the right side, and I'm going to have to use subtraction for this. So minus 4x on the left and minus 4x on the right. That's going to give me -3y equals -4x plus 12. Now I'm going to have to go ahead and get rid of this -3, and we know that -3 is multiplied by y. So to undo that multiplication, we have to use division. So I'm going to divide the left and the right sides by -3. -3's cancel on the left, leaving me with the letter y. And then on the right side, we get 4/3 x minus 4. All right, so this is our equation. And from here, we should be able to identify the slope, which we know is 4/3, so up 4, right 3. And then here we have the y-intercept, which we know is -4. So if I were to go ahead and graph these, we can go ahead and put -4 on the y-axis. Here's my -4. It's going on the y-axis there. And then my slope is 4/3. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1, 2, 3. So we should have a point right there. And then I can go ahead and I can connect these 2 points, all right? So we should get a line just like this. All right, now I can go ahead and I can try method number 2, which is to use the x and y intercepts. So if I'm looking for the x-intercept, this is where, remember, the y value is 0, right? The y value is always 0 anywhere along my x-intercept. So if I take my 4x minus 3y equals 12, I'm going to plug in a 0 for y, and that's going to give me 4x. Well, if I plug in a 0 here, this whole thing is just 0. That's going to mean 4x equals 12, and then x is going to be 3. So I know that my x-intercept is 3, so I'm going to go ahead. I'll do that in, let's make it orange, how about? So if I find out that the x-intercept is 3, I'm going to go down here and draw 3 on my graph, right? 3, 0 is the x-intercept, right? X-intercept is always on the x-axis. And then I can go ahead and I can find the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is where x is 0. And so if I plug in a 0 for x, right, we've got 4x minus 3y equals 12. I'm going to plug in a 0 for x over here. And that means that this whole thing will turn to 0, right? Because 4 times 0 is 0. That leaves me with a -3y equals 12. And then I can go ahead and divide both sides by -3, and we should find out that y is equal to -4. So this here, y equals -4, that is my y-intercept, so that's going to be on the y-axis here at -4. And so now I've got my 2 points, and I can go ahead and connect them with a straight line, get those arrows on either end to show it continues in either direction. And if you look at these 2 graphs, you should notice that they are the exact same. So both of these methods will get you to the same answer. It's just a matter of thinking which of these makes more sense to you and which of these would you like to use, okay? Again, if I ask you specifically which method to use, I expect you to use that method. But if I don't ask you a specific method, feel free to use